Nestled away in the northwest of the island of Ireland is the town of Ardara, an area of outstanding natural beauty, where rolling beaches begin at the place where rugged mountains end. A place steeped in history, culture, and mystery. Where ancient traditions are seamlessly interwoven into the fabric of modern living. A town whose generosity of spirit is revealed in the music that inspires its people. Join us on an immersive journey as we explore the essence of Ardara and uncover the secrets that make this place truly special. Welcome to Ardara, a tale woven through time. Ardara lies at the base of the Glengesh Glacial Valley, where the Bracky, Owentucker and Onia rivers weave their way to the Atlantic Ocean. The name Ardara translates as height of the fort, and it takes its name from the medieval earthen ring fort which crowns the hill to the northeast of the town. However, this fort is not the most impressive in the area. That honour must surely go to Doon Fort, a medieval western stone fort situated a short distance from Ardara in the majestic waters of Lough. This well-preserved but partially restored fort has its earliest connections with the O'Boyle clan, and it is also known as O'Boyle's Fort. The exact purpose of the fort is unknown. Perhaps it was important in ceremonial gatherings, or its strategic location made it an excellent defensive structure. At the moment, we do not know. The ancient builders keep their secrets well guarded. Doon Fort was partially restored in the 1950s. It is currently under restoration by a local heritage group and is often referred to as the jewel in Donegal's crown. Elsewhere, dotted around the locality, the discerning visitor will chance upon many mysteries. Here on the Nia River, at the boundary of two ancient kingdoms, we see this enigmatic monolith. The local legend says that the mythological McHugh threw it from the nearby mountain to stop his love crossing the river with another man. Whilst this may be the stuff of legend, we do have evidence of human activity in Ardara dating back thousands of years.
Around the year 4000 BC, we see the arrival of the Neolithic people in Ireland. They were totally different from previous people in that they had a knowledge of farming and they brought animals like cows and sheep. We have a lot of evidence for the existence of the Neolithic people around Ardara from all the findings in Yarn sandhills and in the Mahara sandhills. In this hand I have a number of flint pieces, and in this hand here I have a number of pottery pieces from the Yarn sandhills. Flint was a very hard stone that was used by the Stone Age people to make other instruments. So they made Stone Age axe heads and they made all their instruments. Everything they made, they used flint to make it. Of all the stone axe heads, this is the queen of them all. This stone axe head was never made to cut trees. This is a ceremonial axe head where it would have been used as a ceremonial item for the burial of a great chieftain or a great queen or a member of the local royalty. And these are the group of people who started building the megalithic tombs, like the ones that we have in Kilclooney Moor, the wonderful portal tomb known locally as a dolmen. A megalithic tomb, there are various types, but the two that are common in this area are court tomb and the portal tomb. These are both present down in Kilclooney. These tombs, as I say, were built by farming people, so it seems obvious that when they found an area that they found that they thought they could live a life without having to move again, they built these huge tombs and they buried their dead there. The dead were always cremated before they were buried there. And there is a theory that in fact that these people who are thought to have come from around the Black Sea area of Russia, Turkey, that they brought the bones of their ancestors with them, and that when they found an area where they felt they had a future, that they buried the bones of their ancestors in these huge tombs.
Not far from the Kilclooney Dolmen lies another stunning archaeological wonder, the ancient monastic site on Inniscale Island. The island is accessible during low tide when a sandy walkway emerges from the waters to transport you back through the centuries. Perhaps it was the significance of the parting of the waters that led to the establishment of a monastery here. But beneath the scenic beauty of the island lies a bloody history. The monastery was founded by St. Conall Keil in the 6th century, who was exiled on the island for killing his father in a blind rage. The island eventually became a destination from pilgrims from all over Europe seeking solitude, and eventually would be responsible for spreading Christianity throughout this part of Ireland, the impact which can still be felt to this day.
Our modern day connection with St. Conall Keelan is that he had a bell, St. Conall's bell, which was possibly 6th, 7th century, and then a shrine was added to it in the early or later medieval period. In later years, it ended up under the care of Major Nesbitt out in Woodhill, Ardara, but in 1845, Major Nesbitt died, and on the night of his death, the bell and shrine and a lot of other very important artifacts that he had were stolen, and the bell and shrine ended up in the British Museum in London.
The story of St. Conall's Bell is only one of many linked to the island. They are the remains of two 12th century churches here, St. Conall's and St. Mary's, a testament to the island's spiritual significance throughout the ages. The island's rich spiritual heritage is also evident in its intricately decorated gravestones, which stand as silent witnesses to the devotion of generations past. Inniscale Island is a timeless treasure cradled by the waves. It invites us to pause, connect, and appreciate the beauty that surrounds us, a beauty that is both ancient and ever renewing. Whilst Ardara and its surrounding areas are celebrated for its breathtaking landscape and fascinating history, it is perhaps most famous for its rich heritage in the textile and weaving industries. The town has a long-standing tradition of hand weaving and knitting, and it is often referred to as the knitwear capital of Ireland. Visitors to the area can witness the craft firsthand by visiting the local shops and studios, where skilled artisans create beautiful garments and textiles using traditional methods.
Just to give you a little history of the town of Ardara in County Donegal, it's recognised the world over as the home of Donegal hand-woven tweed. Now, hand-woven Donegal tweed is centuries old, and it basically is a homespun industry. That's where it originated, in people's homes. Long before electricity, people took the natural wool that came off their local sheep, would have washed it, they would have dyed it, and then they would have spun it into a yarn, and from that then they probably would have hand knitted it into an iron sweater or a cap or a pair of socks, and from there then they moved it on into Donegal Tweed production. Again, a home industry, everything took place by a family in their own home, and that's the beauty of it.
And what we're going to do here is, this is just wool from a Cheviot sheep, and we might just card a little bit of that and spin it into a yarn, and that's where the story starts, in the mountains with the sheep, and then taking it down, clipping this time of the year. We're coming into June, July. So with the raw product is a little bit of white wool, and I'm just carding that nice and soft. So this is the sliver, and you just take off the sliver of wool like that, and then you're ready to do a little bit of spinning. And the sliver will be slightly fed into the spinning wheel as I go along, allowing the wheel to just do the spinning. And this just takes a little bit of time. You have to be kind of relaxed. And I suppose in the olden days, this is where all the songs and stories were told and written by people that would be sitting spinning, and maybe a few neighbours in. I remember my father saying that after the spinning would be done, they would sit down and they would play a few tunes with the local musicians would come in, or sing a song or tell an old fairy tale. We had a great wee way of life around that time, when we always thought we were poor, when we couldn't buy certain things that other people could buy, but we had a heritage, and that's what my mother used to say was rich in heritage, rich in culture, and a craft to carry around the world.
Was hand knitting predominantly involves the use of a single thread? Hand weaving uses large looms to combine multiple threads to create large, intricate fabrics. For generations, local farmers in the area supplemented their income by hand weaving tweed from woolen yarn, and such was their skill and artistry, Donegal Tweed would become famous all over the world.
Ardara really is a little town with a large reach, with a global reach. Products from Ardara have gone all around the world. I actually have kept some of the labels from our own family business of places that we supplied around the world. And I have a label from a business in Bermuda that my grandparents supplied hand knitwear to. So hand knitting would have been the realm of the women, and I suppose it may have been a less visible and a quieter trade than the clack of the loom, but still there were women throughout the parish of Ardara involved in creating hand knitted garments, and thousands of women around County Donegal that were knitting for Ardara based companies. One of the things that has always amazed me about the knitters and the skill of these women is they don't work from patterns. They don't work from written patterns. They would work from patterns that are passed down from person to person, and they work from a visual skill and knowledge of their craft. So, for example, when I would give out a garment to be remade by a knitter, they simply look at the garment, and from examining that garment and the stitches, they know exactly what they have to do. I think a worthy acknowledgement of the craftswomanship of these intrinsic iron garments is that in 2017, the Museum of Modern Art in New York included the iron sweater in an exhibition of iconic fashion garments of the last century. My family, the Kennedy family, would have grown up in the town there on the front street. And my father and his sisters often tell stories about in the morning wakening to the sound of the looms, the clack of the looms. And in particular, that was there on the back road, now Pierce Road within Ardara. And I love I suppose that soundscape, the idea of that soundscape.
John Hina is one of Ireland's most skilled weavers and craftsmen. Here we see his loom in action. The warp refers to the long threads that move towards the weaver. A single thread, known as a weft, is then placed into a shuttle and propelled using foot pedals through the warp. As the weft moves through the warp, beautiful patterns emerge. It is this ancient alchemy that lies at the heart of Donegal Tweeds.
Ardara, in the county of Donegal, is a very unique place in the world. There's only one Ardara. Ardara, as I've said earlier, is the home of Donegal Tweeds. And everybody that buys a bit of Donegal Tweed are buying a bit of Donegal. You've got the landscape, you've got the people, because there's people who make fabric and who make tweed. And when they take their tweed and go back home, they say with pride, it's Donegal Tweed and we bought it in Ardara.
We're all here together to sit and to crack, with lasses in their hands and a work upon their back. There's nae a trade in all the earth can neither mend nor make. It wasn't for the work of the weaver, it wasn't for the weaver, what would we do? We wouldn't have clothes made of wool, we wouldn't have a coat black or blue, if it wasn't for the work of the weaver.
In order to showcase and preserve the role of hand knitting, textiles and weaving in the Ardara story, a group of determined locals came together to create the Heritage Centre and to preserve its legacy for future generations.
The main role of the Heritage Centre is to act as a hub for people, both for tourists primarily, but also for locals for set dancing, and to explain to people what Ardara, how it got designated heritage status and what it means to be a heritage town. When we set up the Heritage Centre, we wanted to leave a legacy for the town, which I think we have achieved. But the big thing was, obviously, economically Ardara in the 80s wasn't in a great place. The emigration from Ireland nearly reached the levels of the 1950s, and a lot of my classmates ended up leaving. The Heritage Centre in Ardara was originally a courthouse and then converted to a library, but by the late 80s it had become neglected and dangerous, with slates falling off the roof. So a public meeting was held, and from that a bunch of individuals around the town decided to keep going and seek help from Bord Fáilte, Donegal County Council. And they were very supportive. Gay Moynihan and Fancy Coyle were heavily involved, and not alone did they help with the Heritage Centre, but they came up with a town plan. And so we set up a charitable company called Awake. The initial directors were Conall Kennedy, Bosco McGill, Seamus Geller, Fergus Mully, John Kelly, Des Sheridan and Pat Sloy. So we enlisted Charlie Bennett as a director. After 7 long years, Mary Robinson, our president, was invited to open the Heritage Centre officially. And we had a big day in Ardara. She was invited into Ardara and led down the front street by the Kilcar Pipe Band.
A building like this, a courthouse, when it's no longer functioning, can simply be let go. It can become a dilapidated building, even in the middle of a town, as this one is. And it can be like that for 20 years or so, which I understand, in fact, is what happened to this particular courthouse. And then it takes imagination, and I will even say vision and determination, to realise that this is part of the stock of the town. It's part of the architectural stock, that it's very central, and that it should come into its place in the future of Ardara by being a heritage centre that can tell the story. And you have a wonderful story to tell here in Ardara. You have the story of your past, of your weaving, spinning, knitting, the whole work that I see reflected as I walk down through the town in the craftsmanship that is here.
And it was a very memorable day for the town, and the weather held up for it as well. And I think the Heritage Centre has stood the test of times, and there's something to build on for the future, which I hope will stay there forever.
As well as the textile industry, Ardara is also famous for its vibrant community spirit, exemplified by its lively music festivals that showcase its unique character and cultural pride. Music and storytelling flow through the veins of this town, keeping age-old traditions alive. Step into a local pub and you'll find yourself immersed in the melodies of traditional Irish music, played passionately by talented musicians who pass down their skills from one generation to the next. In the centre of the town is a statue to one of Ardra's most famous sons, Johnny Doherty, whose unique personal playing style made him a renowned musician, but it was only by chance that he became an Ardara man.
It was amazing that he was born in Ardara, but it was very much by pot luck. I think his family were passing through Ardara and suddenly Johnny arrived, and he arrived and was born over there below Tom Divers, behind Seamus Nettie there. And we have the claim that he was born in Ardara, even though probably he was on his way through. But anyway, we took full advantage of that. But Johnny Doherty was a well-known man in this area. I suppose I can remember as a very young person living in Derry's Glenties, and Johnny Doherty coming to the house late at night. And he was a very reserved gent and very respected, and there was very little talk because it was quite reverend to have him in the place. And he did that all the time as he moved along. He went to different houses, he stayed there. He was an absolute gentleman, a lovely person.
The legacy of Johnny Doherty is celebrated every year in September when we hold a festival in his honour. In April, we celebrate another legendary fiddle player from Ardara, John the Tay Gallagher. The Cup of Tay Festival celebrates this famous son, who was born in Ardara in 1923. These are only a few highlights from some of the events that take place in the town throughout the year. As our journey through Ardara comes to an end, we hope you got a glimpse into what makes our town truly special. Ardara's tight-knit community plays a vital role in preserving the town's heritage, whilst also making it a warm and welcoming destination for visitors from all over the world. Ardara, County Donegal, is more than just a town. It is a living tapestry of Irish culture and history. Its timeless tradition, breathtaking landscapes, and warm-hearted people make it a destination like no other.
We're all here together to sit and to crack, with lasses in their hands and a work upon their back. There's nae a trade in all the earth can neither mend nor mak. Now it wasn't for the work of the weaver, what wasn't for the weaver, what would we do? We wouldn't have clothes made of wool, we wouldn't have a coat black or blue. Now it wasn't for the work of the weaver,